إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله تعالى فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمدًا عبد الله ورسوله وصفيه وخليله وخيرته من خلقه أجمعين بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله به الغمة وجاهد في سبيله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الكرام وعمن تبع هداه واستنى بسنته وسلم تسليما كثيرا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, sometimes we need to be reminded of why we are here, why we are in this hayat al-dunya. Sometimes we need to be reminded of Allah Azza wa Jal, and this is why we come to Jumma every week, Friday to Friday, to be reminded of our purpose. One day we are young, fit and strong, and one day we are old and weak. One day we are healthy, and one day we are sick, and one day we are living and breathing, and one day we will return to Allah Azza wa Jal and stand and be questioned by Allah Azza wa Jal on Yawm al-Qiyamati la rayba fih, on the day of standing, when we stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, la rayba fih, which means there is no doubt in that. So our whole life is preparing ourselves for that day. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He speaks about the dunya, hayat al-dunya, He says, إِنَّمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا مَتَاعٌ this worldly life is pleasure or amusement or excitement. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, المال والبنون زينة الحياة الدنيا. He says, Allah Azza wa Jal says, describing the dunya, He says this wealth and children are zina, decoration of this worldly life. Now, that does not necessarily mean that that is a bad thing. Zina is not a bad thing. Excitement or enjoyment is not a bad thing. It's not a negative. So when does the dunya become an issue? Allah Azza wa Jalla says in Surah Al-Rahman, فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورُ. He says, do not let this worldly life deceive you. When the world, the dunya deceives you from what? From Allah Azza wa Jalla, that's when it becomes a problem. When the dunya is taking you away from Allah Azza wa Jalla, that's when it becomes a problem. When we are our 5 salawats, we don't pray our 5 salawats because we are too busy. That's when it becomes a dunya. And He says, وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورُ. Who is al-gharur? Al-shaytan. He says, do not let the gharur, the deceiver, deceive you from Allah Azza wa Jalla. When Allah Azza wa Jalla says, do this and don't do this, then the dunya says, no, don't do that, do it this way because this way is not working in this day and age. That's when it becomes a problem. And this is all tawakkul upon Allah Azza wa Jalla. The whole Quran, the stories of the Anbiya, the prophets, the messengers, all of their stories is how to have tawakkul upon Allah Azza wa Jalla. From Adam alayhi salam up until Al-Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, all in which is dependence upon Allah Azza wa Jalla. Yaqub alayhi salam, or Ayyub alayhi salam, he lost his health, he lost his wealth, he lost his children after having abundance children and having wealth and having health. Allah Azza wa Jal took all of this away. Allah Azza wa Jal took all of this away to test him, and he remained patient. Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam was thrown into a well by his own blood brothers, and then he was taken to be a slave, and then we know what, and then he was seduced by his master's wife, and then he was thrown into jail. All of this, and he remained patient. What was the outcome? He came out of jail to be the minister of Egypt. Allah Azza wa Jalla tested him. He remained patient up until he became the minister of the land. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, عجبا لأمر المؤمن أمره كل خير فإن أصابته صراء كشكر فهو خير له وإن أصابته ضراء فصبر فهو خير له. He says, عليه الصلاة والسلام, strange is the affairs of the believers. What is strange, Rasulullah? He says, all of their affairs is all good. The good and the bad is all good for them. If good happens to him, he is thankful to Allah Azza wa Jalla, and this is good for him. And if something bad happens to him, he is patient, and this is good for him. Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam, when we look into the life of Musa alayhi salam, from beginning to end is all tawakkul upon Allah Azza wa Jalla. Even his mother, his brother Harun alayhi salam, they, from all the life of Musa was all tests, and it needed these tests needed tawakkul upon Allah Azza wa Jalla. The mother of Musa alayhi salam, she was inspired by Allah Azza wa Jalla to feed him. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَأُوحَيْنَا إِلَى أُمِّ مُوسَى أَنْ أَرْضِعِيهِ فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي إِنَّا رَادُوهُ إِلَيْكَ وَجَاعِلُوهُ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. When during the time of Musa alayhi salam, when he was a child, we know the story. Fir'aun saw a dream, and he interpreted it to that one of the children of Israel will take his, or will kill him and take his position. So he translated this to, he sent out a command to kill all of the children, the newborn male of Bani Israel, and to put the girls or the girls into slavery. Musa alayhi salam was born in that time. So Allah Azza wa Jal inspired to the mother of Musa to put him, to feed him, and to put him in a basket and to throw him in the river. Which river? The River Nile. Those who know the River Nile, it's the most aggressive river. Anyone who goes, if you go into it's a slim chance of survival, the one who goes deep inside this river. No sane woman would put her child in the river. But this was tawakkul upon Allah Azza wa Jal. She relied fully upon Allah Azza wa Jal to look after her child. And what was the reward? Asiyah bint Muzahim radiallahu anha, the wife of Fir'aun, she hired the mother of Musa alayhi salam to live in the palace and to feed Musa alayhi salam, and she received a wage to look after her own child. Musa alayhi salam then grew up in the palace, and he was going through the marketplace, and he saw a man from Bani Israel being harassed or bullied by one of the Egyptians. And at that time, the Egyptian people, they were the upper class. Nobody would go near them. This Egyptian man was bullying this poor man from Bani Israel. Musa wanted to help. He pushed the Egyptian man. He fell so hard, he ended up dying. The man from Bani Israel, he ran away. And the people were questioning, who killed this man? Who killed this Egyptian? This is a big crime, to kill a man from the upper class. The next day, Musa alayhi salam going through the marketplace, and he sees the same man arguing or fighting with someone else. So Musa alayhi salam, he says, you again, you're a troublemaker. This man responded and says, ha ya Musa, you want to kill me the same way you killed that man yesterday? Now the people knew that it was Musa alayhi salam who killed the Egyptian, because they were investigating and they wanted to know who did this huge crime. So then word went back to the palace that it was Musa who killed the Egyptian. And then the verdict was the capture and execution of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. A man came to Musa and said, you are wanted. I'm telling you to leave Egypt, you are wanted, and they're going to kill you. So he left Egypt. He left Egypt afraid, with nothing, with no wealth, nothing. He ran away and he sat under a shade. He sat with nothing, he had nothing. He made dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٌ. He said, oh Allah, I am in desperate need of anything good you can give me. So Allah Azza wa Jal, through this dua, and I'm cutting the story short, through this dua, he gave him a wife, he gave him a job, an income, a place to stay, sorted out all of his life through this one dua. Oh Allah, I am in desperate need of anything good you can give me. رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ. And then Musa alayhi salam, he was employed for 8 to 10 years, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he confirmed that he did the full 10 years. After this, Allah Azza wa Jal made him into a prophet. He spoke to him directly and said, you are my prophet. First command I'm giving to you, go to Fir'aun. Musa alayhi salam, left Egypt fearing of his life from Fir'aun, and the first command was to him, go back to Fir'aun. Musa admitted, he says, Ya Allah, I'm afraid you will kill me. What did Allah say to him? لا تخافا إنني معكما أسمع وأرى. He says, do not be scared, I am with you. I am with you. Allah Azza wa Jal, this statement, I am with you, He mentioned this in the Quran. To who? To the believers. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah Azza wa Jal says, I am with the ones who are patient. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا. If you want Allah Azza wa Jal to be with you, the same way He was with Musa alayhi salam, to be able to face anything that comes your way because you know you have Allah Azza wa Jal with you, sabr. So Allah says, I am with those who have patience. Inna Allah ma'a sabirin. And Allah Azza wa Jal, if you want Allah Azza wa Jal to be with you the same way He was with Musa alayhi salam, taqwa of Allah, fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, to be conscious of Allah Azza wa Jal. There are people in this world today who Allah Azza wa Jal gives or helps them or gives them whatever they want, whether they ask for it or they don't. Allah Azza wa Jal says, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Remember me, I will remember you. Allah wants you to remember Him, and if you do that, He will remember you by giving you what you want. Allah Azza wa Jal says, if you remember me in the time of your ease, if you remember me in the time of your ease, I will remember you in the time when things are difficult for you. Because Allah wants you to be close to Him. Allah wants you to remember Him, whether things are good or things are not good. But if you remember Allah when things are good, like He wants you to, He will give you what you want when you are in need of Him, of His assistance. Whether you ask for that specific thing or whether you don't. And this is from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. So it is important, my brothers, my sisters, to live our life for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. We mentioned the dunya, Allah does not always mention it in a negative sense. Zina is not decoration, is not a negative. Amusement, enjoyment, these are not bad things. But when the amusement is taking you away from the true purpose, which is to worship Allah Azza wa Jal, then it becomes a problem, and then we need to sit back and revise and look at ourselves and prefer the akhirah over the dunya. As Allah Azza wa Jal says, بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ حَيَاةَ الدُّنْيا وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Allah says you prefer this world, while the akhirah is better for you and longer lasting. This dunya, one day we are here, and the next day we will return to Allah Azza wa Jal. Every day people are dying. Every day people are returning back to Allah. We don't say dying, we say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We are from Allah, and to Allah Azza wa Jal we will return. So in which state do we want our return to be to Allah Azza wa Jal? We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to show mercy to all of the living and the dead from the believers. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to ease all of our affairs and to ease our road or our journey to Him. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه وتوبوا إليه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي المتقين وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله. يقول الله تعالى في محكم التنزيل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Last Thursday, the mother of our brother Hussein, somewhere here, she passed away. So inshallah ta'ala we'll make dua for her. اللهم اغفر لها وارحمها وعافها واعف عنها واكرم نزلها ووسع مدخلها واغسلها بالماء والثلج والبرد ونقها من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الابيض من الدنس. اللهم جازها بالحسنات احسانا وبالسيئات عفوا ومغفرة وغفرانا. اللهم وسع ونور قبرها، اللهم وسع ونور قبرها وجعل قبرها روضة من رياض الجنة. اللهم عافها واعف عنها. اللهم آنس وحشتها في قبرها. اللهم آنس وحشتها في قبرها. وثبتها عن سؤال الملكين يا رب العالمين يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم. الله أكبر، الله يعلم ما تصنعون.